Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 15 based on novel. So let's start. The wolf wind blew through the mountains, bringing up yellow dust. The lush green forest and the cave of the bloodthirsty dragon had turned into a piece of mud at this moment. When the last trace of the energy storm slowly dissipated, Xiao Yan and Yueru in the sky just opened their eyes, and their eyes slowly swept across the extremely messy mountain range below, and finally fell gently and walked slowly. Going to the place where Bingqian blew up, there was a huge crater several tens of meters in size, and at a glance it was impossible to see the bottom. His eyes swept across the pothole. Xiao Yang's footsteps suddenly came to the giant pit, where there was a slight inconspicuous light. Fortunately, I brought a turtle breath pill with me when I came out. This kind of self-destruction can deceive the remnants of the Fonlei family. This time I will go back and clean up this Fonlei family. Even a small Fonlei family wants to compete with our Solomon. It's just over their own capabilities. There were bursts of voices in the weak rays of light. I'm sorry, you may not have this chance. Xiao Yang also appeared at the location of the light like a ghost. The palm of his hand touched the light slowly. A sneer suddenly appeared on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth. Terrifying flames blasted out fiercely, the ground burst open, the wood chips flew, and an illusory soul escaped in panic and finally flew towards the sky. Go, and then start to move. The surrounding space is suddenly solidified. Elder Bingqian has a good plan. His body exploded, relying on the special effect of the medicinal pill. Trace of soul escaped, but it's a pity. Xiao Yang looked at this illusory soul with a smile and said softly, Xiao Yang, don't kill me, we can have a good talk. You don't want to offend a Solomon just like that, right? The soul was trapped and immediately turned into Bingqian's illusory face. At this moment, there was a real sense in his eyes. Fear. If this trace of soul is destroyed by Xiao Yang again, he will really be finished. I don't want to go to this stage either, but someone who doesn't even let off his own brothers. It's really not as good as a beast. Xiao Yang sighed softly, stretched out his palm, and immediately held Bingqian's soul. Xiao Zong, Solomon won't let you go, just wait to die. Feeling Xiao Yang's killing intent, Bingqian cursed bitterly. Bang! Xiao Yang's face was expressionless, and when he squeezed his palm, Bingqian's soul burst open, and immediately turned into a spot of light, which disappeared. Looking at the dissipated soul spots, Xiao Yang knew that Bingqian, the elder of Solomon, had said goodbye to this world completely. Careful mind. No retreat to the enemy. Very good. The Golden Dragon King couldn't help but say. In a faraway place, in a quiet wooden house, among the hundreds of plaques, a plaque exploded. The old man on the side closed his eyes and slowly opened his eyes. There was a thick black in his eyes, giving people a strange feeling. How dare you kill me, Elder Solomon? Go on and investigate this person thoroughly. Yes? Sect Master. There was a strong anger in the old man's words, and before the words fell outside the door, someone took action. Yueru blinked suspiciously on the side. She did not see the scene where Xiao Yang destroyed Bingqian's soul, but she felt that her father, who had a high vision in the past, had an extremely high evaluation of Xiao Yang. A faint laughter suddenly sounded on the mountain peak, and Xiao Yang's figure slowly appeared in front of Yueru. Xiao Yang. Seeing Xiao Yang appear, Yueru immediately shouted with joy. The body of the bloodthirsty dragon is still there. You know where the preciousness of this beast mummified corpse is, right? Her eyes were fiery and introverted. Yu suddenly stared at the body of the demon dragon beside her, and said a little eagerly, apparently not realizing the little trick Xiao Yang had done just now to take advantage of the big explosion. Xiao Yang was obviously frightened by Yueru's question. Looking at the huge, but extremely stiff body of the bloodthirsty dragon in front of him, Xiao Yang also held it and felt it gently. Immediately, he waved lightly with the ancient eternal fire ruler behind him, and the somewhat rigid head of the dragon was like tofu, cracked out of thin air, and the fracture was as smooth as a mirror. A dazzling light flashed out. It's the magic core. That's great. Yueru also smiled at Xiao Yang with great joy, and finally she didn't find out what she was worried about. I will be unhappy. However, Yueru is also concerned and confused. If it exceeds the 8th rank, that is, the magical beasts that are enough to rival the strong Dosheng, will definitely produce magic cores. Let's go, since the magic core is in hand, let's go to the main hall to have a look. Yueru is also not greedy, since she has both the Crescent Moon Suegua and the magic core Xiao Yang needs, then there is nothing. Worried. Wait, this bloodthirsty dragon has treasures all over its body. Xiao Yang also saw it, and took a closer look at this huge body. What sharp claws! The sharpness of this thing made Xiao Yang take a breath. Why are you looking at all this garbage? You don't think you have enough time to grab the great fortune? Just the blood of the dragon is useful. You refine these blood. I can feel that these blood contains the talent of bloodthirsty form. Bloodthirsty, I want to rely on the refined blood to be able to display it. The Golden Dragon King also felt the atmosphere. Xiao Yan's head is covered with black lines. This bloodthirsty dragon is still the overlord of one side anyway. So many valuable things in blood and body, how can they become garbage when they reach the mouth of their master? But it's no wonder, considering the status of one's master, this kind of thing is really. Xiao Yan also saw the extraordinary blood from the bloodthirsty form of the bloodthirsty dragon just now, and immediately extracted the blood of the dragon. Breaking open the body of the demon dragon, Aura rushed towards her face. Yueru's face was a little ugly, the scarlet color inside the demon dragon. As the calcination of the flame intensified, it became more and more intense, and at the end, it turned out to be completely condensed together immediately in Xiao Yang's surprised eyes. It turned into a drop of scarlet blood, penetrated along the surface of the flesh and blood, and finally passed through the flame and dripped down. Seeing the blood dripping down on the ground, Xiao Yang's eyes were quickly took out a jade bottle of quite good quality from the ring, and then put the drop of blue-red blood into it. After catching the scarlet blood, Xiao Yan breathed a sigh of relief. He raised his head and glanced at the burning milky white flame, and found that with the dripping of the blue-red blood, the piece of meat turned out to be directly calcined by the flame. In the middle, it turned into nothingness, and not even the ashes were left behind. Looking at the 7 drops of scarlet blood in the jade bottle that did not mix with each other, Xiao Yan had no choice but to shake his head. With a wave of his hand, he put away the flames in front of him, and then grinned and smiled at the jade bottle. In the collection ring, I didn't expect that the body of a demon dragon, which few people in Fengyi had not noticed, could be created by him. In Xiao Yang's opinion, the value of these 7 drops of scarlet blood would never be worth it. Weaker than the dragon, and even, in a way, stronger. This blood contains the extremely violent power of the magic dragon. This thing cannot be used indiscriminately, otherwise, it will definitely make him fall into the tragedy of body explosion, but this is nothing to Xiao Yan. The problem is that he is an alchemist himself, and he is quite reconciled with the violent factor in these energies. As long as he is given enough time, at that time, he will be able to absorb all the blood safely. Therefore, this time, Xiao Yan not only collected the demon core of the demon dragon, but also these 7 drops are enough to cast the bloodthirsty form protective film of the bloodthirsty demon dragon, which is comparable to the blood essence of the 5-star fighting emperor's all-out blow, and the harvest is quite satisfactory. Go to the main hall. Xiao Yan and Yueru turned into a shooting star, heading towards the great hall deep in the mountains. The complexity of this ruin was far beyond Xiao Yang's expectations. It was following behind Yu, who had a map. The forest that was circling around accidentally provoked powerful monsters to attack, but fortunately, this feeling it lasted for about 10 minutes. The vision in front of him suddenly widened, and the figure rushed forward for a distance again, and a huge ancient hall finally appeared in the sight of everyone. The whole body of this hall is in the color of copper gray. The countless years have made this copper gray appear even more profound. The ancient atmosphere permeates from under every stone slab on the hall, making people feel that the vicissitudes of silence for countless years. Looking at the grey giant hall, Xiao Yan couldn't help but shook his head, and led Yu to slowly drop to the 100 meters away. Since the emperor and strong man would build such a large ruin, he must have hidden it in it. It is also quite rich, and this trip is really worthwhile. Outside the grey giant hall at the moment, many strong people are coming continuously, but no one is the first to set foot in the 100-meter range. Those who can reach here at this time are either great forces or people with great abilities. Outside the hall, there are many mysterious runes flashing, looming as if forming a formation. These people outside the giant hall obviously also discovered the formation, and they are not in a hurry. Xiao Yan was naturally in no hurry. If there were no defensive measures for such a rich treasure, only a fool would believe it. While Xiao Yan folded his arms and waited in peace, he suddenly noticed that a cold gaze was projected. Immediately, he raised his brows and turned his gaze, and immediately condensed on the place where the cold gaze was projected. The owner of the cold eyes is a man dressed in gorgeous clothes, with a noble temperament between his eyebrows, which makes ordinary people dare not look directly at him, and his long flowing hair adds a bit of arrogance. Looking at this rather unfamiliar face, Yueru couldn't help but rub her fingers with Xiao Yang, but she didn't expect to see her here. This is the martial arts of Wuqing. Yueru whispered. Oh, is it the person who has the most potential to win the great fortune? Xiao Yang also frowned slightly. The late Samsung Do Di. He was actually 2 levels higher than himself. Don't look at this small second level, there is still an irreparable gap between the first level. The gap is very huge, even with Xiao Yang's current strength, it is a little difficult to deal with. Xiao Yang is from this so-called martial arts. There was a sense of danger in his body. But Xiao Yang was not afraid either, and immediately turned his head to look at the people beside Wu Huan. At Wu Huan's side, there were many people, including Feng Licheng and his group. At this moment, this group of people obviously found Xiao Yang and the others, and their eyes flashed with a cold color. If the eldest lady had not been following Xiao Yang all the time, she would never have met that Solomon person, causing the eldest lady to be emotionally unstable now. Obviously, the self-destruction of the strong Solomon should not be underestimated, so they resented Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang's eyes swept across the pedestrian, and then suddenly stopped beside Feng Yi. There was a white-haired man with a long body and brocade clothes. This white-haired man looked extremely handsome, with a smiling face which made him look extravagant, and at a glance, he knew that he was not an ordinary person. "Yeah, is that the person you mentioned who was suspected of possessing the soul of the emperor?" The white-haired man at this moment also glanced at Xiao Yang and smiled lightly. "Well, and I can feel that the power of the soul is stronger than mine." Feng Yi gritted her silver teeth, rather unwilling. Their Fenglicheng has always been cultivating the fighting spirit of the wind and thunder attributes. In Feng Yi's generation, because Feng Yi is the only daughter of Fenglicheng, she is loved by the city owner. Feng Yi's soul strength has been surprisingly strong since childhood. A powerful 9th-rank pharmacist, so Feng Yi master cultivates soul power, and his fighting spirit is weaker. After finally coming out of Feng Lei city to the ruins, I saw Xiao Yang from the very beginning, so I had a strong interest in Xiao Yang. Even with Feng Yi's soul power, I could feel that Xiao Yang was also an alchemist. And the refining level is definitely not low. There are only a few pharmacists in Do Di continent. In addition, Feng Yi often practiced in Wind and Thunder City and rarely went out. Seeing Xiao Yang, his affection increased greatly, and he wanted to find a suitable opportunity to compete with Xiao Yang. This is what happened before. Is it possible that it is an alchemist of the imperial rank? After this time, if you are lucky, it is not impossible to break through to the alchemist of the imperial rank. The man in white smiled slightly and said softly. Feng Yi also nodded slightly, although Xiao Yang vaguely made Feng Yi quite interested, but he was obviously more interested in the creation in the main hall beside him. "What is that?" Xiao Yang also disapproved, and then turned his eyes away. Suddenly his eyes lit up, and then stared at the hundreds of people in the Grey Giant Hall. Several people who were originally staying outside the main hall could not help but be surprised when they saw this scene. Someone actually entered the formation in advance? Hundreds of people in the Grey Giant Hall were bombarded by the sky-filled fire dragon and the black wind with unparalleled power. It was not discovered by Xiao Yang and the others who were outside the formation, because they were desperately resisting the erosion of the formation. After they couldn't resist this formation, they appeared in everyone's sight. It was swallowed in an instant, and not even the soul was left. The one who rashly entered the formation was led by a strong player in the middle of the Samsung Do Di, and actually, this formation is so terrifying, those powerhouses in the middle stage of the 3-star Do Di were instantly swallowed up and not even the scum was left. This should be a formation, the last protection to guard the hall. Huh? Damn it! The moment Xiao Yang spoke, the power in the formation condensed and attacked him unexpectedly. A milky white petal fell down, just in front of Xiao Yang, and then let the fire dragon that filled the sky, the black wind bombarded with unparalleled power. Boom boom boom. In the sky, the violent spiritual power fluctuated wildly. However, when the fire dragon and the black wind dissipated, everyone's pupils shrank, because the milky white petals protecting Xiao Yang were not damaged. Slightest. Since everyone is almost gathered, then let's work together to break this formation. Fortune depends on strength. Wu Huan also looked at the number of strong people outside the main hall and said. Xiao Yang's palm trembled slightly. Even such a subtle attack made him feel an unbearable pain. With so many people present outside the formation, why was this formation only attacking himself? However, now is not the time for doubt. Xiao Yang's black eyes were burning, quietly looked at the powerful formation with fierce flames in the sky not far away. Immediately, his slender fingers shone with milky white rays of light, and he tapped in the air, and the murmured voice spread. Yueru, come with me. As soon as his voice fell, the huge and strange milky white petals on his body also brought about the purest wave at this moment, which instantly wrapped Yueru, and then the two roared out of the formation. The huge milky white light, with a shocking white light, cut through the sky at an extremely astonishing speed, and led Yueru to disappear in front of Wu Huan and the living dead outside the main hall. The petals of the milky white lotus are slowly rotating, and the petals of the petaled lotus are blooming slowly. The whole world seems to be gradually dimmed at this moment. That kind of fluctuation is astonishing. In Wu Huan's blood-red pupils, a tinge of unease flashed at this moment, and he felt a death-like fluctuation from the enchanting milky white lotus. And he could feel that Xiao Yang seemed to have found a solution to this powerful formation. Follow them. Wu Huan took the lead in turning into a meteor and heading towards the formation. Afterwards, Feng Yiqian and the others also looked at each other. Go? The living dead also followed slowly. A charming girl also followed. It's fun now. Afterwards, everyone outside the main hall flew towards the formation, because everyone knew that it was only one step away from the Emperor's great fortune. The flames and the black wind in the formation frantically gathered in its big mouth, and the surrounding air became distorted as a result. Damn it! Where did the Xiao Yan go? When Xiao Yang and Yueru were just discovered that something was wrong, Wu Huan followed, and he could be regarded as the third person to enter the formation, but it was strange that Wu Huan lost Xiao Yang's breath as soon as he entered the formation. As if Xiao Yang and the others did not enter the formation at all. A series of voices fell, and the huge team outside the main hall entered the formation one after another. Damn it! We can't get out. There's no way out. Those who had just entered the formation couldn't help but find the strangeness of the formation. Damn! Following Wu Huan, this kid has only one dead end. It's better that we didn't come in at that time. It's just... Voices of dissatisfaction continued to appear. Obviously, these powerhouses began to back down at this time. Everyone is in a mess, since everyone is here to find this so-called great fortune and treasure. We have now entered this strange formation, and we are already grasshoppers on the same boat. Too much quarrel is meaningless. Why don't we temporarily form an alliance and break the formation? Wu Huan also looked at these people smartly. Since the alliance is formed, someone must take the lead. Who will take the lead? The living dead also stood up at this moment and snorted coldly. Obviously, the living dead and Wu Huan are also the strength of the late Samsung Do Di. This living dead is obviously one to fight. Why don't you just let me do it? Wu Huan also smiled slowly. Then a terrifying aura came out. The late Samsung Do Di. Many people present looked at this appearance, and could not help but frown slightly, really strong. Just when the living dead just met and said something, suddenly from the sea of people, a trace of the same breath as the living dead disappeared in an instant, and then the living dead also closed their mouths unwillingly. Even his here. The living dead trembled slightly. For him, the living dead were extremely frightened. Since all of you are meaningless, then let me be the temporary leader of the alliance. Wu Huan also watched the momentum and took back his own breath. Let's go. Then he said to the crowd. Many of the people who entered the formation were also powerhouses in the late stage of the 3-star Do Di with the same strength, but they did not fight against this martial arts because they all knew that this temporary fight was meaningless. Everyone in the formation looked at this scene extremely nervously, and they could all see that the huge fire dragon in the sky seemed to contain a strong murderous intent. Fire-killing palm. At this moment, the vindictive energy in Wu Huan's body was fully revolving, and the firelight and the black wind expanded by hundreds of meters in the ferocious mouth. In the next instant, his roar full of murderous intent suddenly resounded. Now that he has become the leader of the alliance, he must take the lead, and then he can only bear the brunt of Wu Huan to deal with this huge fire dragon. Boom! The sky inside the formation seemed to tremble for a moment at this moment, and then everyone behind Wu Huan saw 2 fire dragons and black wind dragons roaring out of Wu Huan's palm. The 2 giant dragons soared into the sky, intertwined with each other. The 2 dragons converged, the fire borrowed the wind, and the violent fighting spirit also expanded at an astonishing speed, extremely terrifying. People with discerning eyes know that this martial arts uses the palm as an attack and turns it into a dragon-shaped fighting spirit. On the other hand, it is staring at these people who have just formed an alliance, because the martial arts is also clear, and it is really difficult to let these things in front of you without any means. People are convinced. Such an offensive is basically not considered the strongest means of martial arts. Everyone stared at the pair of dragons with shocking eyes. They were carrying extremely powerful vindictiveness, and they charged straight at the monster Black Lotus in the sky, leaving a long tail of light behind them. The bewitching Black Lotus, the last lotus petal, also slowly bloomed at this time. The dark light, like the darkness that erodes the earth, quickly gathered in the center of the Black Lotus, and inside the lotus it seemed that a black liquid was dripping down. The deep dark light suddenly became powerful at this time. Ha! Everyone could see that the monster Black Lotus trembled violently at this moment, and a black light beam with the size of 100 meters burst out silently from the Black Lotus. This black light beam doesn't seem to be too violent, it is like a black thunder that falls from the sky, swept across the sky, and then, under the gazes of many nervous eyes, with the fierce roaring wind and fire double dragon, right bumped together. Boom! A gigantic Do-Chi light wave of nearly 1,000 feet spread out from the place where they met, and the space within the entire formation seemed to tremble at this moment. Roar! The 2 dragons roared and charged with all their might, and waves of violent and incomparable fighting spirit pervaded crazily, trying to disperse the falling black thunder. But what was shocking was that no matter how the 2 dragons galloped, the beams are all motionless, like a pillar of optimism running through the heavens and the earth, and cannot be shaken. Wu Huan watched this scene, and the unease in his eyes became much stronger. Although the black beam didn't have any amazing momentum, it made him feel chills in his heart. In the distance, Feng Yi looked at the confrontation in the sky calmly, and then moved her fingers lightly only to see the black lotus in the air smashed apart at this moment and then turned into a black liquid, blending into it. Into the black beam. Wind and thunder fingers. Huh? With Feng Yi's shot, the black lotus dissipated, and the surface of the black light beam seemed to have a huge black lotus-like pattern emerging, and then the long-hidden figure was finally exposed at this time. A deep, dark light erupted from the beam, and the demon lotus also made a mournful whine at this time, and then countless people were a little horrified to see it, the two dragons of wind and fire. As the demon lotus with flaws roared away mercilessly, the demon lotus actually had cracks appearing under the attack of the two dragons. Wu Huan's pupils also suddenly tightened at this moment. Boom! An earth-shattering voice resounded, and the black beam of the demon lotus was penetrated by the wind and fire double dragon, and was actually pierced by the wind and fire double dragon. Wu Huan roared in horror. He also did not expect this seemingly inconspicuous Feng Yi to be so powerful, and then he stimulated the fighting chi in his body, forming a huge spirit outside his body. Power mask. Boom! The demon lotus exploded. The black beam of light, however, ignored it, rushed straight out, and finally shot on the Do Chi mask. The black light beam, in that scream, was ejected by Wu Huan's Do Chi mask, and then hit a mountain in the distance. When the earth shook, the mountain instantly vanished into ashes. The entire formation was completely silent at this time. Because they saw that when the demon lotus shattered and emitted a black beam of light, it disappeared completely, and not even the slightest bones were left behind. In that scene, it was as if he had been evaporated from this world. The violent vindictive fluctuations in the sky also quickly subsided at this time, and the previous kind of shocking battle seemed to disappear completely. Let's go. Wu Huan also strode forward. The formation also shattered at this moment, revealing the true face of the hall. A heavy ruler and a slender woman appeared in front of everyone. Xiao Yang. Wu Huan said viciously towards Xiao Yang, who didn't know what strange method to use to break the formation. Xiao Yang also wondered why the formation did not attack others but attacked himself, but when he first came into contact with the fire dragon, he felt that the fire dragon seemed to be very afraid of Xiao Yi. Then, following Xiao Yi's footsteps, he led Yueru through the formation. With Xiao Yi leading the way, the flame power and the demon lotus in the formation obediently gave way, and this was the scene. The hall is very wide, and people stand in it like ants. In the center of the hall, there are 7 huge light groups. The light groups are suspended in the air. A scroll-like thing exists. Immortal fighting skills and exercises. Just relying on the terrifying fluctuations emanating from the light group is known. His eyes swept through these light groups that exuded a strange coercion. Xiao Yang's eyes suddenly stopped at the center of the 7 light groups. There was a stone seat and a stone coffin. The stone coffin was calm and peaceful. It's inconspicuous, but on the stone seat on the side, there is a grey-white skeleton, hand-pinched, sitting cross-legged. The bones of the emperor? Looking at the skeleton, Xiao Yang's mouth suddenly felt a little dry. This was the first time he had seen the skeleton of a strong Do emperor since Do D continent. The coercion at the place was like a jack, causing Xiao Yang and the others to feel a sense of depression. This is the main hall of the ruins. Yueru whispered. Xiao Yang nodded slightly, his eyes shifted away from the light group and the skeleton, and looked behind him, at the exit of the formation, where there were already quite a few figures standing, and all of them had a strong aura, and among them, Xiao Yang also saw Feng Yi, Wu Huan and others again. Hey, it came quite quickly. Seeing these figures, Xiao Yang couldn't help but sneered across his face. Because he also learned from the well-informed master, the Golden Dragon King, that the formation before the main hall could not stop them for a long time. For some reason, the formation seemed to lack the core things. Inside the vast hall, the figures are scattered, except for a few loners. Most of the rest are those big forces with strong reputations in the 5 major cities, except for the powerful Wu Huan in Wucheng and Feng Yixi in Fenglei City. In addition, the Living Dead City, Magnolia City, Beast City and other forces all came here. It seems that their goals are quite clear. Once they broke the formation, they rushed here directly, for fear that they would be a step late. People take away. And when Wu Huan and the others entered the hall, Xiao Yang, who was carrying a heavy ruler, naturally attracted the attention of many of them. The next step was to be alert, or hostile, or friendly to Xiao Yang. Projected over. To these glances, Xiao Yang smiled and glanced at the direction where Wu Huan and the others were, only to see the latter and the others staring at him gloomily, presumably still remembering what they had eaten in that formation. A big loss. Xiao Yang also had a sneer on the corner of Xiao Yang's mouth when he saw this scene, under the gazes of those many eyes. He walked slowly into the hall with Yueru, and then stopped in the hall. Walking into the main hall, Xiao Yang just discovered that there were 7 figures sitting around the towering stone seat. How many years have been preserved, but even so, these 7 stone sculpture-like figures exude a terrifying aura, making everyone dare not set foot in the 10-foot range around the stone steps. Protector? Seeing these stone-like figures without the slightest anger, Yueru also whispered in surprise. Well, and I'm afraid they are quite powerful guardians. You can feel it just from the stone carvings. If I expected it to be good, these 7 stone carvings should all have the strength of Do-di. Since this is the place where the Emperor lost, these people should be the guardians of the Emperor. Xiao Yan's eyes also flashed a dignified color. Although these stone carvings are motionless at the moment, they have just not been triggered. It is conceivable that once these stone carvings are activated or awakened, it will inevitably be a fierce and unusually brutal fight. Moreover, these stone carvings can guard the main hall. These people must have been strong men before their lives. Maybe they are the Emperor's subordinates. We should be careful. Xiao Yan also noticed a slight difference with his bright eyes. Hearing that, Yueru has changed slightly. Although the 7 Do-di level powerhouses do not know the clear strength of stone carvings, since they can follow the Emperor, how can they be mediocre? This lineup. Even if the powerhouses present work together to clean it up, the loss will certainly not be small. As expected of the relics of the Emperor and the strong. If this is a fight. Yueru was also amazed, and even she felt a little shudder with such a lineup. Be careful later, don't separate. Xiao Yan reminded solemnly, then turned his head, a smile quickly appeared on his face and cupped his hands in a certain direction. Xiao Yan looked along, it turned out to be Qing, a member of the Alchemist Association of Qingna. Little friend Xiao Yan, it's better to come early than coincidence. This is the main hall. You can see that the grey-white dividing line is getting weaker and weaker. I'm afraid it will completely dissipate in the near future. See, when he arrived at Xiao Yan, Baishan also smiled, leading the strong pharmacist to come and smiled at Xiao Yan. Elder Baishan, could this be the goal of this trip? How come there are as many as 7? Xiao Yan smiled and asked, this Baishan is also an elder of the Alchemist Association. Those present, I am afraid he has a better relationship with the Alchemist Association. In any case, he is also a nominal elder of the Alchemist Association. The others are either unfamiliar or opponents. Well, it should be true, but I think the 7 light groups should be related to the 7 stone sculptures in front of me. Although I don't know what it has to do with it, who can get it depends on luck and strength. Baishan smiled and nodded, and said that he was quite satisfied with Xiao Yan. To be able to break into the hole deep in the ruins with 2 people, Baishan himself, who is not at all extraordinary, would definitely not believe it. No wonder the president told Xiao Yan to take care of him before he left. Well, I think so too. Hearing this, Xiao Yan also stared at the 7 stone sculptures carefully, and then swept over the 7 light groups with a strange gaze. There are indeed many flower heads in the ruins of the Emperor. In the end, it was not easy to get even one of these 7 light groups. Well? Baishan smiled, his eyes swept around the hall, and he said softly, little friend Xiao Yan, it seems that there are quite a few people targeting you this time. It's just a little trouble. Xiao Yan smiled. Those present, who were hostile to him, were just Wu Huan. Although he didn't know why Wu Huan was hostile to him, even if this Wu Huan was a 3-star in the later stage of Emperor Do, Xiao Yan was also not afraid, and Feng Yi, Feng Lei Cheng should not be regarded as hostile. At most there was a hint of discussion, and then there was the living dead who stole Yueru Crescent Suegua, although it was fake Crescent Moon Suegua, but he couldn't let him go. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.